Hello and welcome to Across the Pond Aces. Samantha is out this week. Uh, Currently, probably somewhere over Georgia on the way up to Boston. I don't know. I don't know which way the flight path would go. Probably goes over New York or something. But yep, Samantha's not here this week. However, I have been joined by one of my colleagues from Across the Pond, Liberty. We're joined by Kirstin Clark. Kirstin, welcome to the dark side.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me, James. I'm excited to be on the show today. This is I feel like I'm betraying my liberty right now, but yeah, I'm excited to be on the show.
There is good reason for you to be here. We do have a couple of games coming up over the next couple of weeks, not to mention one of those being a Commissioner's Cup final, which is going to be in Vegas, which is going to make it all the more fun. Um, let's talk about Liberty and your podcast, Across the Pond Liberty. Um, it's you and Stacia that do that together. How has your season been going?
So the season's been going well. It's been very, very fun following a team like this who are just, all of a sudden in the off season made these crazy trades and now they're this huge team with like some of the most experienced players that the league has right now. And it's just been super fun watching them play. I think the biggest factor for me is you get that kind of thought in the back of your head when so many superstars get put together into one team, and you think, okay, someone's going to sacrifice minutes, someone's going to sacrifice points, someone's making a sacrifice somewhere. What I've been so impressed with this season is just the way everyone's still been shining. Everyone's had their opportunity. They're starting to play better. They're starting to flow better. And we've had some crazy, crazy feats reached this year. Like Brianna Stewart with her insanely high points she's scoring in games. We've had Sabrina Ionescu with her 3 point, like 8 threes in a game, and her 3 point contest recently. Just loads of really cool feats that these players are still managing to reach despite playing alongside such superstar players as well. And it's been really fun to watch.
Now, head coach Sandy, online anyway, has taken some heat this season so far. I don't agree with it. I think she's a magnificent coach. I think she's done a really good job. But you know, is it finals or bust for Sandy?
Um no, I don't think so. I think if you look at the team's record right now is like they're second in the league. They're last I checked, and this might have been a couple of days ago now, but they're 18-5 last I checked. That's crazy. That's insane. That's such a strong and high win loss percentage. So I don't know. I'm not with the heat she's getting. I think she's done a really great job, especially considering she is competing against a lot of teams who have played together and have that previous experience together, such as the Aces, such as the Suns, such as the Mystics, and the team's performed and are managing to be second in the league right now. I don't think she deserves any of the heat she's getting. I think it's ridiculous actually to give her heat when she's second in the league. That's I just don't get it if I'm honest with you.
Could it be that expectations at the beginning of the season, with all the trades that they did, and they brought in some magnificent players? Now, so, and I must note, like some players that have were part of those trades moving out of New York are performing quite well, like Rebecca Allen. So could it be that one, expectations are high. Look at the players we kind of gave away that are now performing at other teams. Could that kind of maybe play into that? Because it's the only real reason I can think of.
I think certainly that'll play into it. It's it's tough to say, but definitely expectations coming in were super high. They were off the scale. I mean, everyone was calling us a super team, just as they were calling the Aces a super team. Aces have the receipts to back that up. They've been champions. They've had their MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, everything. they have the receipts. So I can understand people giving them a name like super team, etc. To come in and say that a team like Liberty, brand new essentially team, like pretty fresh roster, whole starting five has been renewed. To come out and say that they're a super team, that's bold. Because I understand, like, put these players together, but they don't have the receipts to back that up. They've not played together. We don't know how they're gonna work together. So I think I understand why expectations are high and why they were high coming into the season on an individual basis. But that's not reflective of team chemistry, of all the things that actually work together to bring a team together. So yes, definitely expectations for you for some people maybe haven't been met, but to go 18-5 is insane. Like that's yeah. I I can understand. I can understand why, but I think the only reason that people are disappointed now is purely for their own fault. Not anything to do with Sandy. I think it's people just not understanding exactly how a team works when you bring a bunch of new players in together. It's not gonna come off the bat and you're gonna be champions immediately. You need the full season to build, and that's what we're seeing right now.
See, I think one of the big issues is this league is so talented right across teams. You look at like teams like Atlanta, Dallas, Connecticut, even Indiana. Like these teams are doing they're outperforming. And because they're outperforming, I think as well, like that kind of plays into that as well. Like, oh well, you didn't play that game well against the Fever, like they nearly took you out and you lost to Dallas. But these teams are up and coming and young and hungry and they obviously want to make a mark. And they will look at Las Vegas and they'll look at New York and be like, well, they're big targets. We take them down. Like people are gonna look at us differently as well. So looking to this weekend, we have Liberty visiting in Las Vegas, but there's a big piece missing. We talk about super teams and everything else, and if I'm honest, I think the Aces were a super team last year with Derek Hamby. Obviously, we made that switch. Derek went out. Candace Parker came in. Candace Parker had been playing with a fractured foot, and now she is out indefinitely. How much of an impact is that going to be on kind of game planning? Because we've had people come in and out on 10 or 7 day contracts and all the rest of it. Not Ashley Jones has come in; she's now been released and won't be coming back. But without Candace, this team does still win games. We beat Dallas, who are one of those up and coming teams that I mentioned before.
Well, I certainly think that with Candace being gone, it will significantly impact the game because if we're looking at the scores or the game stats, sorry, from the last game, we had Candace Parker scored 15 points, she had 6 rebounds, and she was the biggest rebounder for the Aces in the game against Liberty. Um, in a game which, may I also mention, that the Liberty did out rebound the Aces. So there's our win from that game.
I'd rather
But
actually take the W.
I mean, same, but can't have everything.
Potatoes,
But
potatoes.
yeah, so I certainly think that with Candice away, being the biggest rebounder from the Aces in that game and one of the top scorers as well, it will have a significant impact. So I'm not sure exactly what the game plan will be in order to fill in that gap, but all I'm feeling as a Liberty fan is that it gives us a little bit more of a chance. I know that the game was quite a significant win as well from the Aces, so I'm hoping that particularly with like John Quell, she's been working a lot more as the season's gone on. I think back when we played a few weeks ago, John Quell was still kind of finding her feet, and she did actually have a really good game that game, I must say, but she was kind of roller coastering. So she's had a lot more time now to kind of settle in. She's been a little bit more consistent. So I think, especially with John Quell, performing better, finding her feet better, and also like she was recovering from injury. She's definitely looking stronger and more confident. I think that's also going to be really key um to outplaying the Aces in this game, especially taking advantage of the fact that Parker isn't playing.
Now Parker isn't playing, but you still have Jackie Young, Chelsea, Kelsey, Asia. Like we still have like a pretty stacked team. And one criticism I've had this season is we don't use our bench enough. And I think this could be one of those games where we see nobody from the bench. Right, I think specifically this game, I think will be tight. I think it'll go down to the fourth quarter. It'll be the last couple of minutes. I don't think it'll be quite as much as of a runaway. I think mostly because what I have seen this year is when we go back to play a team again that we've already played, yeah, we might win, but it's maybe not quite as close unless we've made adjustments ourselves. Uh, I would say that Becky is very good at forward planning, right? So this is what we did against the Liberty last time. Let's try this because they're going to be expecting us to do that again. So like you do see her adjust. Adjusting in games seems to not happen as much. I think more towards the end of games she will, but like she's not someone who's like a hot button coach who's like, "That's not working. Let's change it quick." She does give things time to mature through a game, and I think that's to her credit, to be fair. But hopefully, though, I'm hoping that towards the end of the game it is a bit more comfortable. But I do think it'll be tight, and I think it's going to be one of these games that's going to be all over the place. Who on the Liberty do you think is going to shine? You mentioned John Quill already having a good game last time out, but who do you think will shine for the Liberty this weekend?
Well, I think with our starters in particular, generally all do perform very consistently, bar maybe and I've mentioned this a few times in the Liberty podcast. Bar John Quill, she has had good games and she's had some pretty stinker games. So other than that, I think our starters tend to perform well. I think most importantly and the most key players for this game that I really think need to step up and show what they've got, show what they have shown this season is Marine Johannes, who played really well against the Aces last time. She scored 10 points. She needs to come out, do some of her wizard tricks, all this stuff. I want to see it. I love watching Marine play. And then also, very importantly, the likes of Kayla Thornton but Nigel Laney, she has been on fire recently. She has been on fire. It's been like so nice as well to see because we kind of start the season with these great superstars and but I just kind of like, okay, like I was on this team, I've been on this team, like where do I stand on this roster right now? She's still starting five and recently like she has been showing up and I think players like Laney and Kayla Thornton and Johannes, but specifically Thornton and Laney are going to be key to this game because they're just so defensively sound, and we just need these players who are so fundamentally. Yeah, we have all of our fancy players, but we need fundamentally strong players, and that's just what I think of when I think of Laney and Thornton is just fundamentally strong. Those two and Johannes, I think, really need to step up, and if they have good games, I think we've got it. I'm putting that out there. If our starting five continue to be as consistent as they have been, plus we have Thornton coming off the bench, playing as well as she can, and Johannes, we got this. I have faith.
You have faith. There is an issue,
Mhm.
an elephant in the room, so to speak, is that you're going up against the Aces, like
Yeah.
like one of the fastest teams, and I think a byproduct of um, Candice not being there is that I think our pace over the last couple of games has been slightly faster, up and down the floor a lot more. We are scoring triple digit games against good teams. And defensively, I get what you're saying. Like, if these players can play for the Liberty and they can play defensively, keep their concentration for 40 minutes, it makes it difficult for the Aces. But someone like Asia Wilson, she everyone's playing in fifth gear and she manages to find sixth. Like, she just manages to do better. Like, you put adversity in front of her and she meets that challenge and beats that challenge. And that is where like the rest of her team come in, because if she's able to do that, and I think this is like when we talk about good leadership, it's leading by example. And I think she leads this team by example so much that you see players like Kelsey Plum come up and like all of a sudden like she'll have no points in like the first half, and then the second half she'll just go off because Asia has sat in that dressing room at halftime and been like, everyone needs to step up. I can't do this all myself. This is the Liberty we're playing, or this is Dallas we're playing, or whoever it is that they're playing. Asia is the catalyst for so much, but she does have expectations on her team, and I think the likes of Chelsea and Kelsey and Jackie, they know this, and I think they know the standard that the team should be playing at, and obviously Becky like drills it into them. And I think when you have that coaching makeup with the players that we have, like it's a match made in heaven. And I do say the same for Sandy and the Liberty team, because I think Sandy is such a good fit for bringing that team together. And then you've got like, and they've got young leadership, really young leadership, because they got Sabrina, who, pretty much the only player left from the starting five from last year. And you see her lead this team alongside Brianna Stewart, and that for me, that's been nice to see. Like I've watched a lot of Liberty games this year on League Pass, and that is one thing I've seen is we have seen that leadership. To you, does leadership is key for me in winning games? Is do you think that has really shown through with this mix mash of players after all these trades?
Yeah, I think so. I think the way that you speak of the Aces is very true. It seems that that Aja is really the catalyst for so much of what goes on in this team, and that's really great. I think the vibe on the Liberty is slightly different. So we do have like Sabrina, who is that kind of the main person who has stayed on from the Liberty last year, the kind of person who she understands the team, understands the way they play, probably best of the whole team. But I wouldn't say that there is one specific player who is the sole catalyst. Not to say that that's the case for Aja either, but that's not the way that I would look at the team. That there's this one player who is she's the leader, she's the one in charge, and she's the one that's this. You see it all the time in all the little timeouts and everything, just little off moments. You see, like you have Sloot, who's one of the most like experienced vet guards in the league right now. She is such a leader in her own way. I think I see a lot of her leading Sabrina, even from on court, the way she facilitates Sabrina, the way that Sabrina's adapted her game to fit with Sloot. And then we have Brianna Stewart, who is Brianna Stewart. And she in herself is such a natural leader. Everyone I think in fact I would go so far as to say that Stewie's the biggest catalyst for the Liberty. She's the one that brings the energy, the most energy. She's the one that creates a lot of good looks for the team, and she just kind of, if there's a dip, Stewie comes on the court, and she's the one that fires that back up. Maybe Ionescu comes on and shoots a couple threes as well. So I wouldn't say that there's any one in particular, but that's just the thing with having so many experienced players coming from so many different areas, different teams, just completely different basketball backgrounds coming together and putting all of that together in this one season. It's just been shared leadership amongst this team essentially, and I think that's what I've seen this year is just leadership from everyone in their own way.
So you're hopeful for this weekend that this weekend might be the win. Would you take a loss this weekend to get a win next weekend in the Commissioner's Cup final?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would. I would. I think I have all my faith in the Liberty. I would love, love, love to see a win this weekend. And most certainly think that, especially now in comparison to where we stood last game, we are in a much better position to win the game now. So I would love to see a win this weekend. But if we didn't get a win this weekend, I think all that would do is add fuel to our fire to come back and win again. So, if we do lose this weekend, yeah, I'd like to see a win, but we feed off of that energy. We need a little kick up the backside to make us be like, okay, now we're switched on. Now we're hungry. Now we want to bring that energy, and that's what I love about this team.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough task because as well, like we play each other three times this month,
Yeah.
which is insane. So we've got this Saturday, we've got a week on Tuesday, and then we've got later on in the month as well. I think actually right after the Commissioner's Cup final is the next one. Two of those games are in Vegas, and I kind of feel like the Commissioner's Cup being in Vegas, the final being there, kind of lends itself to Vegas. Because like the Vegas crowds have been amazing this year. The players have mentioned it, the coaching staff has mentioned it as well. And you can kind of hear it on TV as well. Like it's you go to some arenas, not and to be fair, this year not so much WNBA arenas, but you go to like an NBA arena and you go watch the Washington Wizards, and half the arena's empty, and they're telling you it's sold out. Whereas you flick over to the Las Vegas Aces or the New York Liberty, and you know what? You're seeing full seats, and which is great, but not so great if you if you're the New York Liberty coming into Vegas.
Yeah, that is the kicker, and I mean, I'd still like to see it done, and I have all my faith in our Liberty. I think that we've shown throughout the season that we can perform. I think the most important thing for us to focus on is taking care of the ball. We have really struggled this season with turnovers, and we have had some games. We've had some real like heart racer games where we were up a couple weeks ago. We were up 20, and then in the space of one quarter, we were losing, and it was like, no, what? And then we brought it back and we won. We've had a couple games where we've done that, and I think the most important thing is, yeah, okay, we can bring back that deficit. We can lose our energy and we can bring it right back. We've got that, but we need to take care of the ball because we doubled the aces and turnovers last time we played them. They had 10 steals on us and we had one. I think it was only one steal. Three steals, sorry, my bad. Three. Um we need to take care of the ball and just not let them get such easy opportunity to steal the ball off us, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, and then the kicker is that the game is in Vegas, and Vegas is just one of those crowds that seriously brings the energy. I think of like Vegas brings the energy. I love watching games at home and hosted at Atlanta's home as well. Atlanta is another one of those teams that just you just hear it in the crowd. So yeah, it'll be very interesting, and it'll certainly act very much against the Liberty having to play at the Aces home. So we'll see how the game goes. I would love I would love for the Liberty to win, and I think that completely goes without saying, but it's by no means gonna be an easy game, and I think take care of the ball, and the 3rd quarter is gonna be the teller. If we and again, staying true to form, we a couple times have had this pattern where we've just let it go in the 3rd quarter. We cannot go into the half and put heads down, like, we have to come back, play the 3rd quarter like the game's 0-0 and not lose our heads because that 3rd quarter is a killer, especially when the crowd is as hype as Vegas, because it's only gonna get more hype as the game goes on.
It is, and I'm kind of surprised because when they started putting professional sports teams in Vegas, I was kind of like, there's not many people that like. There's people that live in Vegas, but I just didn't think that they would turn out to sporting events. I thought it'd be one of these, people come in to gamble, so they'll go and take in a game. You, but I've been really surprised about how the Aces have been able to nurture and build a fan base that is dedicated to them. So much, a lot of them listen to this podcast, which is great. We get some comments from them, but it just seems to be that Mark Davis and the front office have been able to build this franchise in Vegas. It's been in San Antonio before, it was in Utah before that, and it really didn't do well, but it has flourished in Vegas and won a championship last year. First championship, professional championship to be won in Vegas. Sorry, Golden Knights, you're second. But yeah, I can't can't look past my aces for these 2 games. If I'm honest, I think these 2 games. I think the first one will be really tight. I think it might have a nervous-ish start. The 2 teams just kind of feeling each other out. But I think the Commissioner's Cup final. I think Becky Hammond will have the foot to the floor, and she'll have Asia Wilson driving that bus. And unfortunately, I think it could be a big night in Vegas for the Aces. Sorry.
I mean, that's fair, you have to I respect that you have to stick by your team, James. I would love to see it. I certainly I'm gonna be fully honest with you. Think Aces have the advantage, like, complete advantage here, and if they don't take advantage of said advantage, come on, like, you're killing yourself, like, this is your own fault. But I can't in such a big game like this, I can't go against my Liberty, like, I see it. I think I'm gonna disagree and say maybe the first game, I think they're gonna come out like, Vegas are gonna come out fighting strong. I think the second game is gonna be closer, and I know the energy is gonna be crazy, and I know that, but the Liberty feed off of that. Um, and when like Stewie, when Sabrina, when they get hyped up and they get that fire going, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, and especially like you've seen Sabrina in that 3-point contest. That is like peak pressure, and she just broke the record for it for WNBA and NBA. She broke that record, so we have that. If any team in the league has that ability to maintain composure under pressure, it's the Liberty. So I'm gonna stick with the Liberty for this. I'm gonna stay true to form and stick to my Liberty. But
Oh, can't blame you. I mean, they
Aces
are your team.
Aces have the advantage. That's all I'm saying.
I love though that we have the advantage, but we don't have Candace Parker. Like I love how
Yeah.
how scary that is. That yeah, we've got the advantage, but we don't have Candace Parker, but we still have this advantage where teams, we have beaten teams without Candace now for a couple of weeks. I, what Becky has built and what she's been able to change in the team to make that team better without Candace has been phenomenal. It really has. Now, get you out on this one. Is it going to be an Liberty Aces playoff finals, or is there going to be a spoiler team that comes in and spoils the party?
Uh, now, I think this is something that you see happen quite commonly in sport. You see these teams, for example, I know the exact team that you're thinking of right now. Dallas are looking nice right now. Dallas are looking real nice, and I think they're coming as a little bit of a surprise. I know at the start of the season, me and Stacia made some kind of predictions, and we were both like, "Oh, yeah, it'll be like Aces Liberty, and then oh, maybe like Connecticut Mystics. One of them will surprise." I don't think we mentioned Dallas, if I'm honest with you, and they've come out and they're looking scary right now. But I think we see this a lot where you get this underdog team and they come out and they surprise and they get this hype and everyone focuses on them and everyone's like, oh, they're gonna come out and they're gonna surprise and well maybe they'll make the finals. Nah, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't think that any other team in the W right now are more suited to continue playing as well as they are and to maintain that strength all the way through to the playoffs as the Liberty and the Aces. It's going to be a Liberty Aces final, and if it's not, I'm sorry. I, I just don't see any other team taking over at this rate.
So there is the ugly stepchild of New York, which is the team I was thinking of, and that's the Connecticut Sun. Uh, because they are always, always, always overlooked because they don't play in New York.
Yep.
They play across the water in Connecticut, and they are always overlooked. And I think that is like that's their superpower. That's their credit that they go in and they will absolutely knock teams around. And for one, like Donna Bonner, that is not a player I
Yeah.
would want to go up against. Like she would knock me around like till I was black and blue. Like seriously, she is an absolute beast inside, and those elbows, like they get swung around. Um,
Yeah.
in all fairness, like not to hit people, but like they get swung around, and she makes herself space. And that team have so much, and they've got some injury issues now, which at the beginning of the season they were my dark horse team along with the Mercury from the West. The Mercury haven't obviously had the season that they'd hoped they were going to have, but the Sun have. And the Sun have bloodied the nose of a couple of teams, the New York Liberty. So it could be that the Sun are the spotlight. Yeah, Dallas, I'll give you actually because like I said, like they're another team who people, yeah, they flew under the radar. Latricia Tramwell just took over as head coach, and she's rebuilding that team, and she's rebuilt it real fast, like real quick. And she's not even got her full team. Like the Shields is still out, so like there's still pieces of that team to come back, which could be scary. But
Mhm.
alas, we have Aces Liberty this weekend. Looking forward to that game. Do join us again next week when myself and Samantha will be back, although she won't be from Vegas or from Florida. She'll be in Boston. So join us next week when Samantha's back, and we'll get to look forward even more so to the Liberty Aces Commissioners Cup final.
See you next time, guys, on the Liberty Show.
That was cheeky.